The Montreal Canadiens have signed Ilya Kovalchuk. We'll discuss the contract and how this might help the team coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. Marc Bergevin continues to be extremely busy for the Montreal Canadiens. Of course, we saw a flurry of activity yesterday, making a couple of separate trades. One sending defenseman Mike Riley down to the Ottawa Senators, and then he acquires defenseman Marco Scandella from the Buffalo Sabres in separate trades. And now they've gone ahead and signed unrestricted free agent forward Ilya Kovalchuk, who had his contract mutually terminated with the Los Angeles Kings earlier this season. Has been basically looking for a team to sign with over the past few weeks here since all of that became official. There has been a lot of talk about the fact that Kovalchuk really wants to win a Stanley Cup and certainly wanted to sign with a contender. No offense to Montreal or their fans, but I don't think it's fair to classify them as a contender. As of right now, certainly they're not in a playoff spot, but I do feel that with these moves, Marc Bergevin certainly feels like his team can get back to the playoffs, and would not be surprised to find out that there's maybe some pressure from ownership to get into the playoffs, considering their lack of consistency with being a playoff team over the last number of years. That Atlantic Division has certainly proven to be quite tough with teams like Boston and Tampa and Toronto ahead of them. So making the playoffs is certainly not going to be any easy task here. They have a lot of ground to make up after, especially after another close game, but another loss last night to the Tampa Bay Lightning, which they lost at home by a 2-1 score. Now, of course, the Habs are certainly battling a lot of injuries at the forward position. They just announced Brendan Gallagher has a concussion. They have other guys like Armia and Drouin and Byron all out. So certainly Kovalchuk could help in that regard, and if he can find his ability to score, even if it's in a smaller role on the power play, he's certainly not as quick as a lot of the NHL players around him, so certainly speed will be a factor here. But if they utilize him right, it could possibly work out, and the good news here is that it's a pretty low-risk move. This contract is only good until the end of the current NHL season, and it's prorated at $700,000, so it's a league minimum contract. And the other good part about this is that it's a two-way contract, meaning that if he is put through waivers and end up being assigned down to the minor leagues, they don't have to pay him that salary. The minor league salary is only $70,000. So that's clearly a good savings for them if things don't work out and he ends up, going down to the minors or being put through waivers or whatever. But I mean, clearly Kovalchuk has struggled to find his game since returning from the KHL, but he certainly had his moments with LA, but clearly was not worth the 3-year contract that he signed with the Kings once he returned. He's certainly not the player that he used to be. The game has changed substantially since his first run in the NHL. So I guess we'll see if being in Montreal can certainly help him get his career back on track here, if he can finish strong and help the Habs get into the playoffs. I guess the other good part about this move is that there's no assets given up. But certainly when Ilya Kovalchuk was looking to sign with a new NHL team, the Montreal Canadiens were not a team that I expected to really be on that radar. But I do understand the fact that Montreal is a very appealing market for many players that want to play in. A lot of the history there. It's an iconic market, great fans, so certainly can understand the appeal from that perspective. But I guess chasing a Stanley Cup, it's certainly not something you'd expect this year. But I guess maybe the Habs could be the St. Louis Blues of last year, maybe go on an incredible run, get into playoffs. And once you're in, as the Blues proved last year, anything can happen. But is Kovalchuk going to be part of the solution to help the Habs get over the hump into the playoffs and possibly be able to make that happen? Let me know your thoughts on the Kovalchuk signing down below in the comments, and we'll continue the conversation. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.